The economy hitting our nation's troops and their families especially hard. The use of food stamps at military grocery stores and commissaries skyrocketing since President Obama took office. Military dollars spent on food stamps nearly doubling from $53 million in 2009, topping out to $103.6 million last year. Joining me now, Pete Hegseth, CEO of Concerned Veterans for America. And Pete, I bet you are concerned about this. What the heck's going on?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to see this at all, let alone this type of increase. Some context is helpful, however. The rules, or the eligibility rules, were expanded substantially in 2009 by this administration, which is why you saw this increase. So it wasn't necessarily just a reflection of increased need. It was a reflection of expanded eligibility. So folks who didn't qualify before now did, meaning more people were using food stamps at commissaries. It's also not clear necessarily who's using it, because military grocery stores don't track whether it's active duty service personnel, which would generally be younger, junior enlisted, or whether it's veterans coming back on post to use it, which would help you get at how to address this particular problem.
You're exactly right. And for whatever reason, Pentagon officials say that they don't classify it in any kind of a category like that. However, one would assume that maybe it's the younger enlistees, maybe single people who have children, but irregardless or regardless, what are your thoughts about the messaging that members of our military are on food stamps?
Yeah, it's not a good message. It's not what we want. It's not what this country should be giving back to those who have given so much. I do think there are ways to address this policy-wise. No one's getting rich as a private with kids in this military. So when we talk about the problems of military compensation, privates are still not being paid very well for the hard work that they do, fighting the wars that we fight. And then for retirees, either you do 20 years and get a pension, but if you don't, you leave with nothing. And I think there are changes that we can make in the system so that those who fought maybe 2 tours, stayed in for 6 or 7 years, they get out, they're vested in some way with a safety net, as opposed to just going straight onto government assistance.
Well, that was my question to you. Do members of our military need to be paid more? I think our viewers might be surprised to hear this, that a new soldier with a spouse and a child, base pay about $20,000. With housing and food allowances, an Army private with 2 years experience would make about $40,000. Do members of our military need to be paid more?
I think at that rank, absolutely. You hear about military compensation problems, and that has to do with higher ranks and pensions and everything down. But that private who served, maybe got a young wife, young kids, only making $20,000, as you know, that's not a lot of money. A lot of it's taken care of within the military. But when they're looking for additional support, they turn to food stamps or other federal assistance, especially when that's expanded. And I think it's a reflection of prioritization in this country. So yes, tough choices need to be made on military compensation and retirement, but it shouldn't be on the backs of that private who's giving so much and yet has to seek other places within the government just to make ends meet.
No doubt. The headline just doesn't seem to sit well with so many people. Pete Hegseth, great to see you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.